Hi everyone, it's Paola. So I am back with the 4th episode in the Freelance series. So if this is the first one you're watching and you're like, what the heck, there's other episodes? Yes, there are 3 more. They will be linked below and there's also a playlist. So yes, we've covered a lot of topics. We've covered how I got started. We covered how to get started as a freelance designer. We have covered how to find clients and how to work with them, how to deal with difficult people. We've covered a lot of different topics. And now we're going to start talking about a little bit more specific things like pricing. So originally I was going to make one episode that was going to cover like everything. It was going to encompass pricing, value, invoice, contract, legal stuff. But then I realized that it'll be a lot more beneficial for me to talk about one thing, pricing and all of that, and then get into all of the legal and logistical and like contracts, all of that in another episode. So we will go over that in the next episode, but this episode I really wanted to focus on how to get started pricing and figuring out what you're going to do as a freelance designer. I feel like this is a big question that I had when I got started. Like when I was in my class that I took, like a professional practice kind of class, that was the question that all of us were asking our teacher. We kept being like, yeah, so what exactly should I be charging for a logo? Like, hi, yes, is this the right price? Like, is this too low? Is this too high? We were trying to get really specific answers to these questions because we felt like there weren't a lot of resources for us in figuring out how to start pricing and how to just get started, like, working. Like, okay, you have planned how you're going to find some clients, you know what you do, like, you know what your specialties are, you know what kind of like services you want to offer, but then you go into it and you're like, okay, so do I like give them $5 or do I give them $5,000? Like, there's just no like right or wrong and there's no basis for it, and it's just like, it's a very confusing realm, just like starting to talk about money in general. So that is where I come in. I am here to help you, to guide you in the best way that I know how about setting your prices, but also I want to talk about actually knowing your value as a designer. So in the last episode, I did talk about a way to find clients that were like those sites where they set you up with clients and you get a percentage and the people that you sign up with take a percentage. So you are the freelance designer in this role of a website. And that is an option, but I mentioned there that is kind of underselling yourself and, doing work and not getting enough in return. And that is definitely a thing. And that's a thing even outside of those sites. Just in general, graphic designers, especially freelance people who aren't with a company, they are definitely undervalued. These are things that always come up as a freelance designer. People not wanting to pay specific clients, saying that you're too expensive just right off the bat. Or, when it comes down to the actual payment part, people are like, actually, I don't have the money for it. Some people don't even want to put in the money for it. So clients come to you expecting basically free work. And this is such a problem in the design community because these people that don't understand the work and the time and effort that goes into all of this really expect something to be done in 2 seconds. That's it. And it's going to be so cheap because it's so easy, right? That's what they think. They think that this is a really easy job. And our job is definitely not easy. You guys know if you're doing it, like it's hard. So when you start as a graphic designer, it can be easy to get sucked into yeah, I'll do that for free because you're my friend or family. Or yeah, I can give you a really good price because I'm just starting out and I'm new to this and, I'm not offering a lot. But don't put yourself in that mindset. I want you to understand the value that you're bringing to your business. Especially as artists and designers, we are just undervalued and people expect things for free and expect handouts, and especially when you know them, when you know the person personally, they're like, well, can't you just do it for free? Like, can't you just do it for me as a favor? When really what they're asking is for you to sacrifice work and time away from something that you could be getting paid for to do something for them. And they're not really doing anything in return. They're just expecting something that is actually something that you have worked really hard for. And it's not just an easy thing. It's not just like snap my fingers and it's going to be done. It's time and effort, and it deserves to be respected just as much as any other profession. So please don't give your friends free work. I mean, maybe occasionally if you want to give something as a gift or whatever, those kinds of things are fun, and you're a creative person, you can do that in your free time. But when people come to you with a work-related issue, like say they were starting their own brand and they said, hey, I know you do graphic design, I would love you to help me out with it. Don't just go into it saying, oh yeah, I'll just help you out just for fun, like I'll just go for it. No, you really want to take it seriously, because that's your business and they're starting their business. So if they come to you starting a brand and you are already established as a freelance designer, that's both of you doing your work. That's both of you doing something that you're passionate about. That's not just, yeah, I'll just help you out and, you don't have to pay me, but they're really gonna actually benefit off of it in the end, because they're the ones starting something that will eventually either make them money or, give them sort of a platform or whatever they are looking for in that regard. That is not fair on you, because they got something out of it, they benefited, and you had really nothing. So I'm just here to help. I just want you to be the best designer that you can be and not sell yourself short as a freelance designer, because it can be so easy to be taken advantage of in this way. Another thing I really want you to focus on before we get into like specific pricing things is understanding what your value actually is. What are you bringing to the table as a freelance designer to your clients, to your customers? So this could be just a general skill, like I'm really strong at logo design and this is what I do, and you show examples to your clients and you're like, yes, I'm so excited about it because I do this and this and this and I find this style, and you can show that that is your strength. Or you can show your value through client referrals. So if you get your client to give you a referral, like a little quote about how you did and something that they can highlight that they think went really well, then you can show that to your future clients and say like, look how well we work together, or like how our communication usually goes. Like, I really want to be open with you, and I feel like my clients in the past have been really appreciative of that, and that is something that I can bring to the table, is that I respond right away whenever I get an email, or whatever it is that you decide to bring to the table there. You just have to bring your strengths to the table and really highlight that to your clients to show that you're a trustworthy person and that you're also a good designer. Don't be sending clients things like, I don't know if I can do this, or like, this isn't my best thing, or whatever. You don't need to tell them that you're bad at something, but if you're not right for the project, you can say that. So don't show a client that you're bad at something. Don't tell them that you're insecure in a certain part or that you've never done it before. Just let them know if you're right for the position or you're not right for the position. So if someone comes to you with a project in mind, like maybe say it's like an illustration-based project and you don't focus on illustration, you can tell them, I might not be the right designer for this position. And you can offer someone else that or you can just discuss it with them a little bit further and figure out what they actually want to see. And you can say if you're the right person for the job or not. What it is all about professionalism. You want to show that you know what you're doing even when you don't know what you're doing. So definitely bring that value to the table, because that will stand out in your overall reputation as a freelancer. So that is basically like what I wanted to say about finding your value. I feel like hopefully that can like motivate you a little bit, help you feel a little empowered about not really taking anything from anyone, not really letting people take advantage of you, and just overall keeping up a great facade of professionalism and just overall amazingness, because you are amazing, and you don't want to show anyone that you're like insecure and bad at anything, because you're not. You're just doing your best. So now that you have learned that, I feel like it's time to really discuss pricing, because once you're empowered and you know your value, you're not going to undersell yourself. Now, pricing can be scary at first, because the hardest thing to do is discuss money with people, especially people you don't really know. And it's really hard to be like, yeah, okay, so I'm going to need this much from you today. Like, can you pay me? So it's a scary thing, but it also gets a lot easier as you do it more. So don't be scared. It'll get easier. And this is what you have to do to get paid. Yes, there are sites out there that will charge people less than what freelance designers are charging, but make sure to remind your client, if they're having a problem with that you are offering a very specific service, and it's very personalized, and it is very unique to them. You will make sure that it goes well, that it is perfect for them, that it is exactly what they're expecting. Like, you are offering a very personalized service and you are professionally trained at this and you know what you're doing, and it's just going to be way better and a better experience for them than one of those sites. So it can be slightly more expensive, but also it depends on how much you feel like is fair to you. So the general logo price for a freelance designer on the low end starts about $100 to $150 and can go up to even $1,000, but that is definitely when you are much more seasoned and work with big companies, things like that. I would say that my prices are more on the low end. I charge about $200 to $300 for logo designs, and then for like business card designs, other things like that, I charge about $250. So there are a lot of different prices for different things, but you really have to gauge that for yourself depending on how long these things take and the kind of effort that you put into them. So does a logo take a shorter amount of time than a business card, or does an illustration project take longer than a booklet, for example? It depends on how you work and what your skills are in. What you have to do is understand how long it's actually going to take you to do these things realistically, and then gauge your prices off of that. So hourly rates. Let's talk about them. So hourly rates are something that you can do if you are working an extended amount of time on something, or if you are unsure about how long a project is going to take. So hourly rates can range from like $40 to $100 an hour. I feel like in that range is okay, especially when you're starting out. And that is not something that I do a lot. I do not really charge hourly unless it's an extension of a project. So if we've gone past kind of like the timeline of it and, we want to keep working and keep figuring it out, then I will start charging an hourly rate. But what I've done is taken my hourly rate and kind of translated it into set project rates, especially because the more I've worked, the more I've understood how long a project is going to take and the scope of the project. So project prices. This is something that I understand a lot more because I charge project specific prices for the different things. So for a logo, I charge a flat rate, and it's because of how many hours I know that I have to work to do that, and it seems fair to me. Sometimes I do work a little bit farther and more into a project, and then I think, I could have gotten more for this, and that's just something you have to figure out as you go, because sometimes, it can take you more than a certain amount of hours that you have allotted, and it's like a little bit unfair to you, but if you're passionate about the project, you'll just end up working a little bit more. And, it's not really underselling yourself, but it's more figuring out how long it realistically takes you to design something. So for example, if you know that a logo project takes you around 8 hours to complete, start to finish, then you understand how to price it accordingly depending on the amount of work you want to do and what you want to be paid per hour. So it's sometimes you have to figure it out. Like sometimes it's a little bit tricky because you don't want to be charging like $50 an hour, and then 50 times 8 is kind of a lot. But take the time to kind of experiment with it and how people are responding to your price. And sometimes, you can offer a lower price and then people are like, oh, okay, that's fine. And you get like people who are just like, yeah, I'll pay for it. And you're like, oh, maybe I should have charged a little bit more. And let me tell you, that's just the thing in the freelance world. Like, you're going to go through that, and you're going to go through people who are like, that's too expensive, and it's the same price. So it just depends on the client. And yeah, sometimes you'll be like, I'm charging too much. Sometimes you're like, I'm charging too little. So it really depends on the person and the project. And you don't want to like drastically shift your prices client to client, but you do want to understand the project first so you can price accordingly. So when people ask for my rate for a logo, I do say $200, and that is with 2 rounds of revisions. So if they have a bigger project, I say that this is an estimate price, and then we go from there. So that is something that is in like my contract, and I talk about it in the invoicing part, so I will talk about that in the next episode. But yes, it's an estimate price, and it's something that I kind of start at, and it depends on what the project is. If I see that the project is just a simple logo or, a simple business card design, and I have my price and I tell them my rate, and then they're like, oh, well, this is my idea, and I really, get them to open up about the idea first before we like sign anything or get into it, before I design anything. And I talk about it with them, and we figure out if that is going to be the set price or if that is going to be an estimate, and I'm going to say like, oh, it might end up costing this much more depending on what we have to do here and how long it's going to take me, but I will stay in open communication with you the whole time. I'm going to update you on this and this and this, things like that. So that will definitely be helpful in your pricing. But yes, I only charge about $200 to $300 for a logo design or a business card design, and there's just different things that you kind of have to figure out along the way that work for you. So the difference between hourly rates and project rates is that project rates are much more set in stone, and then hourly rates are more flexible and you can kind of work with it, and you want to be really honest there, especially with your clients, so that they know how long you've worked, and you can have that open communication. And that's all about trust. You definitely don't want to make it up, because in the long run that's not going to be beneficial for either of you. You don't want to just say, oh, I work this many hours, that's it. You want to be open with how it's going and realistically what it has cost and what it has come out to. So I feel like that is what I have on pricing and understanding your worth as a designer. I feel like designers are just always up in the air. We never know what's going on. I feel like we don't get a lot of help from other people. So I am here to hopefully help you and clear things up and help you get started in it. I don't have all the answers because I myself am figuring it out. We're all figuring it out as freelancers, but this hopefully will get you started in the right direction, and I will link some resources below, more on pricing and things like that. And yeah, if you liked this video, please give it a like, give it a thumbs up. It really, really helps me. And also follow me on Instagram at Paola Kassa. That's also linked in the description. And also subscribe if you haven't. What are you doing if you're watching me and not subscribed? What's wrong with you? Also, thank you to my patrons on Patreon. If you would like to consider helping me and helping the running of this channel, that is also linked in the description. I will see you in my next video, and have a good one. Bye. I'm trying not to touch my face and it's driving me crazy.